son. Take over television and radio station. Bam, bam. The truth shall come. Give the corporation some complication. Bam, bam. Rock the nation. Take over television and radio station. Bam, bam. The truth shall come. Give the corporation some complications, y'all. I have a friend who has cancer. He's had cancer since he was age 6. When he was 9 years old, his mother read an article in Good Housekeeping magazine about this new cure for cancer. She worked as a waitress. They lived in a trailer park community. She had tried everything possible to cure her son of cancer, to make it go away even for a moment. She tried every method that the Western doctors had used. But finally, she's reading through Good Housekeeping of all magazines. She read an article that said that marijuana cigarettes can help cancer. So her son was 9 at the time, and she was somebody who knew about marijuana because she'd smoked it before. And so she went and she got some marijuana cigarettes for her son, and he smoked them. He felt better instantly. He felt his pain go away. And over time, this rare form of cancer, which eventually resulted in 6 vertebrae in his neck having to be surgically fused together so he could support his head. This cancer went away for a time. He smoked marijuana and he sold herb from age 12 to 15 in order to keep his family and his mother and his sister alive and the rent paid in their trailer. When he became 15, he thought, you know, I think I should stop smoking herb just to see what would happen. So he stopped smoking herb, and within 6 months, the cancer came back. So he started up again. And eventually he went on to farm, cultivate herb. Not for sale, but to give out to other patients that he knew. And when he was a kid in the hospital, he would turn the other kids who are 9, 10, 11 years old onto marijuana. And the doctors thought all the chemotherapy they were doing was working. Little did they know that him and his buddies were sneaking off into the bathroom and smoking herb. Recently, about 3 years ago, he was writing a book. And he had this house that was filled with plants because he was writing a book about medical marijuana and how to grow it, how to use it. And he had about 1,500 plants. Actually, he had more than that, about 4,000 plants. Oh, the big joke there. Depends on what paper you read. The cops came to the house. The DEA came to the house. They raided the house. They arrested him and his friends. They took him off to jail. And while he was in the car, some of the LAPD said to him, you know what, this is all bullshit. These charges are never going to stick on you because all they found was $90, about 1/4 of an ounce of herb, and the rest was just plants. It was it hadn't grown and matured yet. And so he thought he was going to be fine and eventually he would get off. But the state of California had already passed Proposition 215 and wasn't going to prosecute him. But the federal government, the DEA, decided that they were going to prosecute him and use him as an example. So ultimately they did. During the time leading up to the trial, he met with these DEA agents a number of times with his lawyer. And one day he was waiting for one of these meetings, and he was sitting in the lobby of this his lawyer's office, and the DEA agent came in and was reading this magazine, Omni magazine. And so my friend, looking at him with this always clever sense of humor, said to him, "Have you ever contemplated creation of the universe?" And the man reading, the DEA agent reading Omni, turned and said, "Yeah, you know, as a matter of fact, I have." He said, "I studied astronomy in college for 4 years, and I have a master's degree in astronomy." And he said, "How could it be that you're trying to put me in jail for 5 years for growing a plant when you can fathom and try to construct the creation of the whole universe, which created this plant?" And the man said, "I'm just doing my job." And there's a time in all of our lives when we do that, when we say for some reason that we're just doing our job, we're just doing the things that we think we need to do. And my friend Todd McCormick got sentenced to 5 years. For the first 6 weeks of his being in the federal penitentiary, they didn't give him a pillow. And he has 6 vertebrae in his neck fused together. Very important for him, in order to sleep, to be able to have a pillow to rest his head on. For the first 4 weeks, they didn't give him a blanket. So Todd started staying up all night because of the pains in his neck, and he couldn't go to sleep. But they required him to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning every morning to make his bed. And if he didn't make his bed by 7 o'clock, he would be punished. So one day, he said, "Fuck it, I'm too tired. I spent the whole night staying up rolling, and I'm just going to try to sleep at the last few hours of the morning," and he slept in late. So they put him in solitary confinement, where all he had was a steel bed, and no blanket, and no pillow. And the reason I say these details about what's going on there is because I feel it's really important for those of us who are freely smoking herb on the outside to acknowledge the growers, to acknowledge the earth, to acknowledge the people who are locked up right now, and to stand firm. And when it comes time for us to be called to say no, that we stand up and we do it. And we don't just say, "Well, I can't do it because today I have to do my job."
Oh.